everybody. Carlton Pearson. I don't see a light on these cameras, but I guess they're on. Welcome to Come Monday. And Come Sunday was the movie. Come Monday is the movement. And movement forward into a broader way of thinking, of being, of conversing, leaving the old paradigm, leaving the old traditions. I call it old wine and old wine skins and old winos and old winers religiously into a new spiritual paradigm that gives us a different kind of a freedom, less guilt, less shame, less sham. Religion is under indictment, the closest scrutiny that it's ever been in the history, I think, of religion in America, with the latest developments around the Catholic Church and the apparent hypocrisy of so many of the priests, who I'm sure were well-meaning men and women, and the nuns who are made vows to chastity and poverty that are not normal and didn't really work for most of them. That means the Catholic Church needs to reconsider what it thinks about celibacy and priests and even women in the priesthood and the whole idea. We're not going to get into all of that tonight, but this is a very powerful time of pivotal change in the culture, in the world, in our history. And by the way, this is Women's History Month in America, the month of March. And I think Australia, Canada, and some other places, women's history or her story. Women have a story as well, and a very powerful story. And libraries and schools and community organizations are focusing their observances on leaders who struggled for equality. Susan B. Anthony, who was an abolitionist. Sojourner Truth, of course. Lucy Stone, Lucretia Mott, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Harriet Tubman, Alice Paul. All of the non-blacks that I list and many more were abolitionists. These are women who believed in equal rights for all Americans and all humanity. And their women played a huge role, from the Native American females who assisted their husbands and other husbands who came over here from Europe back in those days, so the many millions of black slave women who nursed babies, and millionaires and plantation owners' babies at their breast, who were called the mammies and or the nannies, and they cooked and cleaned and worked, and they took care of their husbands and children, and sometimes sick. Can you imagine getting up early in the morning very sick and with headaches and arthritis as they got older, but they still had to work? The men and women who were of the slave days, but particularly the women who sometimes protected their husbands from being beaten or sold because they had influence with the female in the big house. Women are tremendous, and we're going to be talking about them all month long. Next week, I think we have Beth Rangel, one of the great women, females in this culture in Tulsa, huge, successful woman of in many ways. She was a television personality when I recall her. Her daughter Anna was on with us a few weeks ago. We're going to have her next Monday, and we're going to have women all month long and talk about the great things that women do and the great beings that women are. So want to understand the true history of our country by emphasizing the need for full equality for all people. But this month we're going to emphasize the woman, the man with the womb, or sometimes the wound, the uterus. You know, the Greek word for uterus is hystera, where we get the English word hysterical or hysteria or hysterectomy. And because of that, many men have not understood the woman, the female, the womb or the wound, the pain of being a woman, and the traditions of condescending attitude that we've had for women over the years and gotten by with it. Now with the Me Too movement, that's down and out. I mean, people are getting shot down, men who have gotten by with murder basically for millennia. That's all stopped suddenly. You just can't get by with the arrogance and obstinance that we males have had toward females legitimately in this country and around the world. And all the different religions and all the different cultures, women are treated less, as second-class citizens or third, or sometimes just a little bit above property or animals, almost like Africans were treated over here in America for many years, and other ethnic groups. So we are in a different world, and this is a different time, and we're going to emphasize that as we move forward in a more progressive, expansive way of thinking. We're asking questions, answering questions, and then questioning answers. Many are not watching me live right now because they're watching Leaving Neverland on HBO. I saw part one. My wife and daughter are still watching part two. I was watching part of it before I came up here live. Riveting. I mean, it really makes you rethink a lot of things. That one movie is going to be one of the most impacting movies psychologically on this country of anything that we've seen recently. It makes you question a lot. Your most profound truths, the ability of a human being to portray one image. And I'm not just talking about Michael, I'm talking about the two young men who say they were sexually abused by him. And then they explain their story and their moms, and now they're married men, and they're just very candid, much more candid than I would have expected. I think you owe it to yourself to see it. If you don't have HBO, find somebody who does or who has taped it. You need to record it. You need to see it. And then you need to discuss it with somebody, starting with your own self. How people can come across one way. One thing that has interested me a long time, I watch Jimmy Kimmel a lot. I like the nighttime comedians, their monologues, just particularly Colbert, who just makes comedy of and sense of every crazy thing that happens in our news today. I like to go to sleep with those guys, and then I meditate after I've laughed and release some of the tension. But on Jimmy Kimmel, they often call, live news. What is something about lying in news? It slipped my mind. I'll think about it in a minute. But people, they find people on the street there in L.A. and they ask them about fake news, things that didn't happen, and these people just make up stories candidly, spontaneously, and the follow-up questions there, instantly they can make up amazingly graphic lies about them seeing something on the news or hearing a story that never was even projected, never ever shown on television, never really happened, and yet they act like they saw it, whether it's something the president said or did or something somebody else said or did. I'm amazed at how quickly and how easily and how naturally people lie. I think there is a question about trust. Trust may be the number one commodity that our culture needs and has lost and needs to somehow reclaim and reconnect with. Trusting, from parents to priests to principals to police officers to politicians, you name it. Every area of authority and decency is being questioned. People in their humanness is being expounded and exposed. And you can never really expel it. You never can stop being human. And how do you do this? My friend Mike Williams posted this today, and he says, can the artist be separated from the art? He's talking about all of these artists, whether that's R. Kelly or Bill Cosby or even Michael Jackson now. Can the artist be separated from the art? Can I... tremendously funny stand-up, which I saw in person, he says, many years ago. Can I acknowledge that R. Kelly is a child molester and still be inspired by I Believe I Can Fly? I used to sing that song. I recorded it. I love the song and many of his other songs. The Storm, The World's Greatest, The Storm Is Over, If I Could Turn Back. I'm not a big Kelly music fan in that sense. I haven't followed his career, but of late he's been in the news. He was in attendance in a service that I preached in Chicago some years ago. With Juanita Biden's brother, I think his name is James. He left before they brought me down because it was snowing, but I remember thinking about him, and I still care about all of these guys. Can you separate the artist from the art? Can I believe the two young men on Leaving Neverland are telling the truth and still love every song that Michael Jackson ever recorded? This is what Michael is saying. When you look at the lyrics, which I never paid any attention, I was never a big Michael Jackson fan, but I've been paying more attention since his death to the lyrics of his songs. Some of them were very prophetic, very radically inclusive, very progressive. Now this comes out that he may have done something that was improprietous. It appears that he has. And now he's dead and he can't defend himself. But these guys are living witnesses, and can you throw Michael Jackson completely away, or his song, or his music? He says, can I do that for Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, Jerry Lee Lewis, and many others who have done things that are considered morally or even ethically improprietous, and yet they were very gifted people. They gave us something that is pronounced and powerful and that made us happy and feel better about ourselves. Can I still admire the ministry of preachers who have committed similar crimes while acknowledging the deficiencies of the minister? The minister is just the vehicle through which it's like the cup through which I drink my water. The water is pure and chilled. I like mine a little chilled, and it's good. Most of my water that I drink is non-alkaline, it's alkaline water because cancer and certain diseases cannot live in the alkaline, but it can be served in a dirty cup or chipped cup or bruised cup or cracked cup or one with coffee stains or tea stains or some mug that's ugly, but the water or the coffee or the tea is still pure. How can you separate the art from the artist or the artistry from the artist? We're learning it as a culture. We're going to have to be able to do that and not be as judgmental, but evaluate things slightly differently. But you can't throw, again, the baby out with the bathwater. Trying to decipher how to do that is a new discipline. It's a new science. It's a new grace that we have to focus on differently and navigate and negotiate. So it's very interesting to be able to do that. So be thinking about that all month. Think about it tonight, and I encourage you again, if you can get to see Leaving Neverland. Part 2's on tonight. I've recorded it. I'll listen to more of it, and I'll write about it. I'm going to say some other things. I'm going to elaborate on this piece that Mike Williams posted. Pretty powerful. I'm really rethinking everything. You know, I've been talking about religion now for the last 15 years. Rethinking, questioning, asking questions, answering questions, and then questioning answers for quite a little while. And I have a guest tonight who's going to have some interesting things to say about a song he wrote and an album he produced. His name is Mike Fields. He lives here in Tulsa. I just recently recorded something with him on a project he was working on. He has a song called Lovett Road, which is a street that he was raised on. He's going to talk about that and some interesting things, and he's going to play. He's a bass player that sounds to me like Wayne Tisdale. And I'm pretty Wayman Tisdale. In fact, I'm going to be eating with Regina just soon to talk about something she's working on. I'm still close to the Tisdale family, Weldon and William. Wayman was one of my dear friends. I went on his last cruise. My wife and I, we went on a cruise. We roomed right next, our suite was right next to his. We sat together, Wayman and I, and watched Obama inaugurate. We were sitting on the deep waters of the Caribbean. We had both planned this trip. We had tickets to go to the inaugural, but we already had this. We didn't know when it was going to occur, and so we already had this cruise planned, and I spent a whole week with him and Regina, and a whole big jazz thing. Was incredible. I just loved it. And then we lost him a year after that. He made his transition. But so this, Mike's music really reminds me of Wayman, and I love it. I just love this guy. He's one of the most gifted musicians that we have in Tulsa. And I didn't know that when I consented to record with him. I was just going to record gospel stuff. That I heard his secular stuff. This dude's off the chain. And one of the top bass players we have in the city. He's going to be on in just a moment. We're going to go to a spot. And again, this is Her Story Month. Her story. And though tonight we don't have a female on that we're going to be talking to, but the rest of the programs this month we will. And but thinking about that, and just think about human nature. And how it is evolving, how the culture is shifting on its own, how the universe seems to be correcting itself. All this stuff with the President Trump and the questions and the distrust and the lies around men around him and the 11-some thousand lies they've counted that he has actually spoken. I mean, they've been counting the facts and how he twists things up, gets by with it. His followers don't seem to have an issue with that. I find that quite fascinating, bothersome, if you will. I'm not going to talk about that as much, but just the whole idea that the trust level in this country has shifted, and in this culture has shifted. Again, from religion to politics to education. They're questioning everything. They're questioning all the way up to cardinals in the Catholic Church. One of our most esteemed governor is under some kind of indictment, social indictment. They're questioning Governor Boren. It's in the news, and what may have happened or may not have happened. We can't judge him before we know what's really out there, but the idea they would even question somebody like that is stunning. Things that we hear about the Willow Creek Church, Bill Hybels, and the things he's writing in his book, and the fact that he was abusing women all those years, one of the most esteemed clergymen in our country and culture in recent years. Holes blown into a lot of these things. These are things we mustn't ignore. I'm not amplifying them and emphasizing, but there's a lesson we must learn through all of this. So that's why we're paying attention to it, studying our own selves, seeing ourselves in a different way. Human beings being human. What you gonna do with that? All right. Hey, Henry from New York City. Is that where Henry is tonight? Is that our Henry?
In New York City.
Hey, what you doing up there? But I'm from here. I ain't told you could go up there, boy. Henry's up in New York City. Cool, dude. I was up there last week, and you didn't know it. So enjoy. Glad you're watching the show. Pretty interesting tonight. By the way, we're live, so any questions and comments you want to make. Henry is our executive producer, a very personal friend of mine, a dear, dear friend, and for many, many years used to go to Higher D, and we think he's going to turn out to be something. Find something to do with your life, son. God bless you. Let's go to a spot, Jason, and then when we come back, you're going to get to meet Mike Field and hear his amazing music and have a nice conversation with him. We may not go the full hour, but we'll see what happens, okay? I hope he has at least a couple of songs, but I know he has one, and maybe we'll play the one that I recorded with him. We'll see. All right, go to the spot, come back with Mike Field right here in Tulsa. Hello, everybody. I'm Carlton Pearson, and I am so excited about the beginning of ComeMonday.org. Come Sunday was the movie. Come Monday is the movement into broader enlightenment and life. And as a member of Come Monday, you'll receive one video each Monday for the entire year. That's 52 videos in total that you'll receive every Monday morning to get your week started out on a positive and powerful note. I will also be sending you one each day, Monday through Friday, that will support the thought of the week. That's 260 emails throughout the entire year to inspire the genius inside of you. We will also provide a private Facebook group so that we can all come together in a safe environment and discuss personal, pertinent, powerful issues. You will also receive a digital monthly newsletter full of interesting updates and current events and exciting pictures. And I also want to offer you special VIP access to all of my events when I'm in a city near you, because I love to meet my peoples. And finally, we'll offer special pricing to cruises, concerts, and live events, all for standing with us and becoming a Come Monday member. So sign up now at the special introductory rate of just $3 a month. That's just $36 for everything for an entire year. I think I'm going to sign up for that myself. You're on your way to greater enlightenment. I want to meet you there in consciousness. So go to your phones and computers now. Sign up and meet me come Monday. We're back. Technical stuff. This is live. You're used to that. Isn't it interesting that we live in a live society with all this reality stuff, reality television, and people don't have to be as coiffed and perfect. You hardly ever see anybody wear ties as much anymore as we did when we were coming up. People are just themselves. Ladies are not always wearing makeup and looking so perfectly spotless. A lot of oversized women are just as attractive and used on television as ever. You see a lot of integrated couples. You see same gender loving couples on commercials. Almost every day, it's like the whole culture has shifted to this new progressiveness. Some fundamentalists, I understand, and traditionalists are never going to change. But I'm watching something happen that I did not expect to see in my own lifetime. Pretty fascinating. And I'm 66 this month, so I'm not a spring chicken. Sometimes I feel more chicken in spring or fall. But this is a day of evolutions and convolutions and revolutions. And it's pretty powerful. Not violence necessarily, but very confrontive without being so much combative. My friend Mike Fields is here, and I went into a studio that he owns himself, and he was working on a project. He asked me to come in and do a gospel song. So he's from the same roots, Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal, classical Pentecostal roots that I am. We love the same mamas and the same music and the same past, though we live in the present, and we're more expanded in so many ways, and that's what fascinates me a lot about him. He's not stuck. He does secular. On the same album, he's got secular songs and spiritual songs. And sometimes secular songs are spiritual songs. They're just not religious songs. There's an there's an intimacy in it. The song he's going to do tonight is actually on his album. He wrote it, and it's called. It was on the screen, but it's gone now, Jason. So I didn't forget that. Was it Love It?
It's Henry's fault.
Love It Road.
Love It Road. That's the street that he was raised on. I'm going to let him play it first, and then we're going to talk to him about the song, what he was thinking when he wrote it, what lyrics are going through his mind, because you're just going to hear music without lyrics. And he plays the bass, and he's amazing. The dude is off the chain. And then we'll talk to him about what's working inside of him. Musicians are strange people. They live between worlds and between nodes. They're sort of like aliens from another planet. They really live on another plane net. And so they're not completely like the rest of us, and that's what I like about them. I'm intrigued with musicians of any kind, poets, artists, and he's all of that. So now he's going to play this song called Love It Road, and we'll come back and talk to him in a little bit. Mike Fields. Go ahead and roll it, Sean.
I'm getting there.
Jason does all this stuff by himself. He's a one-man show tonight, so we're gonna. There we go. Wow, dude, you are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I wasn't expecting that. You sent me the album with my little song on there, and mine is like 3 or 4 down in there. So I'm listening to all this other stuff. I didn't know that you had that talent. I guess you produced all that stuff. I know you didn't play all the instruments, but what did you do?
So I play piano. So piano is my main instrument.
Oh,
But bass is kind of where my heart is at and stuff. So
you started playing piano first?
drums actually first. My parents are pastors, so of course coming up in church.
PK got to do everything.
Got to do everything. This guy gets fired this week, though. You got to learn how to play piano.
Yeah. Wow.
So piano and organ was my main, and so when I got here to ORU, I guess I got bored with piano or whatever, and so I started learning bass. So.
You just started learning it once you got here?
Yes, sir. Here in '03. I got here in '03 and I started. So yes. Sir.
Who taught you?
Just myself. Just figured out. I got here, of course, in the dorms, and freshman year, didn't have a car, couldn't go anywhere. So I actually started maybe a year before that because I was at World Harvest. Used to play for Pastor Rob Parsley.
Yeah.
And
in Columbus.
In Columbus, yes, sir. So I started then just messing around with it, and then as I got here, I kind of fine-tuned it and just kept playing.
You were more interested in the bass than the other girl?
Into the piano, yes, sir. I felt like I hit a wall, and I wasn't able to express myself to a certain extent and stuff. So,
I guess if you can play a bass, you can play the lead guitar.
I can a little bit. I hadn't really tackled it too much, but I can play it though. Yes, sir.
You could do anything, dude. If you can beat drums and play keyboard and organ, acoustic, guitar, you're amazing. What else can you do? Depends on what the assignment is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so when did you start playing the piano?
I had to be around 10 or 11.
Your other siblings play?
No, sir. My sister sings. So my family, my dad is a minister, mom's a minister, but, dad would preach and mom would sing. And so at times dad would play drums. And my sister sings as well. So we had this family.
Just the four of you?
Yes, sir.
Back in the Carolinas?
Yes, sir.
What
Carolinas. Town? Lumberton, North Carolina.
Lumberton is near?
It is 30 minutes south of Fayetteville, Fort Bragg. And we may be another 30 minutes north of the South Carolina borderline. I-95 runs straight through there. And so.
When was the last time you were there?
I went home for Thanksgiving. November, I was there.
Oh, did you?
Yes, sir.
Mama and them doing good?
Doing good. Fed me good.
Fed you good.
Yes, sir.
Carolina, north or south, those folks can not only eat, they are some of the best cooks.
Yes.
Black, white, doesn't matter.
Yes, sir.
North Carolina and South Carolina, those Carolinians know how to cook.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the song you wrote.
So, Lovett Road, it's a road I grew up on in my teen years. But my parents' church has always been there.
On that street?
On that street.
On the same street you live in?
On the same street.
Wow.
I like to try to paint a picture when I do the music. And so Lovett Road is this road, certain parts of the road, it gets real curvy. And then it gets straight. And but it's a very scenic route. And
a lot of trees, a
lot of pine trees and stuff.
Oh, evergreen kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. And so just I always traveled that road for forever to go to church. And
school and home and anywhere.
Yes, sir. And then we moved up there. I got my license. One of the first roads I drove on, and so yes, sir.
Your folks heard the album?
They have.
They love it.
They love it. They're accepting a lot more of what I'm doing these days. Yes, sir. So.
What'd you study at ORU?
Music technology.
Technology,
yes, sir. For just basically recording, engineering, and all of that stuff, producing. It was a. How do I say this? It's kind of what is the word? It was a baby degree there where they was department that they were starting it up. But it's a music. Jesus, I'm going blank.
Well, it's a music degree.
It's a music degree, but a concentration of music technology. I'm sorry.
I see.
So, Bachelor's of Arts and Sciences.
Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in music technology?
With the concentration of music technology.
Wow. So you're a musician and you know the technology. That's why you can own and operate your own studio.
Yes, sir. Correct.
And create music on computer?
Yes, sir.
Did you do all that?
Yes, sir. Pro Tools. We use Pro Tools and Logic and a few other DAWs and stuff as well.
So you basically can get lost in your own world. Musicians can just go to another plane and.
Yes, sir. It's I call it the Bat Cave. I can get away.
Yeah.
I'm very few for words, so I try to, if something bothers me or whatever, I can just go in there and just
try
to write it down or whatever. So,
I tell David Smith, I say
yes,
he gets on the keyboard and he leaves us. He goes. The room can be full of people, and he can still be on another planet. And we're observing him and listening and feeling. Musicians have that gift, and it's a good escape world, and it's hard sometimes to live in both worlds. So you could go up there in space and then come back down and go in space.
Yes,
that's a blessing and a curse, but it's more of a blessing than a curse, I think.
Yes, sir. Correct.
I'm glad you do that. The other song, is that the only one on the album you wrote?
I wrote a few on there. This was the one that I ended up going national with. I was telling you that I ended up getting serious watercolors and stuff and a few other stations and stuff. So that was the one that I went out with. I went out with another tune. It didn't do as well, but it
so this one's on Sirius and watercolors and stuff?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Boy.
Yes, sir.
That's just great.
Yes, sir.
So you remind me of Wayman. Did you ever hear Wayman or meet Wayman?
I did meet Wayman. I played here at Friendship for a few years.
Oh, you did?
When I was in college. So I was there when he ended up getting hurt when he first found out about the cancer and stuff.
Yeah.
And he ended up coming back.
You're right.
So, yes, sir.
When he was in L.A. and broke his leg, that's how they found the cancer when he broke his leg. Wow.
So he came back, and so I was playing over there at Pastor Tiz and those guys. Me and Brian Jones and Elijah Hill, those guys. So, yes, sir. I knew him.
Tulsa is a close-knit town, and he's mentioning other preachers' kids.
Yep.
Brian and Elijah, they're all preachers whom I know, and their offspring are now amazing. Brian plays a lot for my sister. In fact, I saw him last Saturday at Mother Lacey's funeral at the church that Pastor Hill used to.
Beautiful Gates.
Beautiful Gate.
Yes, sir.
It has a different name now, a different pastor because Hill's gone on. But I remember we used to go over there and help him raise money for his roof and all kinds of things. I've loved the Hills.
Yes, sir.
I ran into a pastor today from West Tulsa who preached Sister Hill's funeral.
Okay.
And it's like this town is getting smaller and the world is getting smaller all the time. I still hear from Elijah. He'll text me every once in a while from L.A. So I'm proud of all you guys.
Thank you.
But after Wayman went home or made his transition, I wondered where that unique sound, if we'd ever have it again. He had a certainly unique feel. He said there were 3 chords he was going to teach me, which I'd learned how to play the guitar. I've always wanted to play the guitar because you can carry that with you anywhere you want to go. He never did get to teach it to me. He didn't learn me nothing. But I have his stuff. In fact, I'm having dinner tomorrow night with Regina.
Okay.
I love her, and she's a precious, precious woman. She and my wife and we were all on that cruise together, the last one that he did.
Okay.
So it brought up a lot for me to hear you play. You have no more music tonight, huh?
I did. I only prepared one, but
you can find his music and his schedule on michaelfieldsjr.com. Michael Fields Jr. all one word,
yes,
.com. Just go to the site. You can hear the album, hear his music, find out where he's going to make appearances. Montre Tisdale Johnson says, "Play, Mike."
Hey, Montre.
Hey, Montre. That's one of my adopted godsons, too. He's an amazing musician himself, very involved in the field. We're going to have him on with his new album soon. You hear me, Montre? He's recorded something not long ago. Well, I wish we had more music from you. He didn't bring my little song. Jesus, I never forget what you did for me. I felt terrible. I was in bad voice. My voice is not what it used to be. And he just insisted that I sing. And then I don't know what he did electronically, but he made it sound better than than I sounded. So he know what he's doing. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Bishop.
And don't forget us when you're rich and famous.
Okay.
You're going
sir.
places. You're going places. There's a cost with that. You're young,
sir.
and you'll pay a price, but the ultimate destination is worth any. And nobody goes anywhere or has any success without several setbacks. And you know you there's always the comeback. Setback, comeback, setback, comeback, and just remember that. So never ever lose focus. Never ever be discouraged. Never ever give up.
Yes, sir.
Ever. People will betray you. People will hurt you. The music world, the professional world, is a dog-eat-dog world. Sometimes very competitive, sometimes very animalistic. But you have to have thick skin. And you musicians do have an escape. And it's not always in drugs. Many of them use drugs and alcohol or what have you as an escape. Entertainment is different, but when it becomes your escape, it can be very harmful. But your music is your escape. You can go somewhere that most of us aren't able to go. And so you're very gifted. And so you say they have an advantage. Buy the record, buy his CD. If you can't play what he plays, you can go somewhere in the neighborhood of where he goes by just listening to his music. Yeah. It's in my car, so I just listen to it over and over and over, the whole album. It's just good. It's got a couple of worship songs in there, some good background singing and singers and musician. The guy that plays the guitar, you said is from L.A.
Yeah, Agape. I can't think Agape.
From Agape?
No, his name is Agape. His
name is Agape?
His name is Agape, yes, sir. He's a big-time industry cat, so... Yeah.
His parents named him Agape?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the love of God. Agapao, and agape means much love. The inference is the reference is to God's love or divine love, which is a beautiful way to look at it, that you love divinely and your love is of your own divinity. And all of us, by the way, have a divine aspect of ourselves that we sometimes suppress. You heard him releasing his tonight with the instrument. That's the divinity in him expressing itself. There's a genie or genius or gene in your genuine essence, in your generic self, your unedited self, your original. Genesis means beginning. The original you came here hearing and playing music. You learned then how to do it later, but you came from wherever we come from with that mission, commission, and with permission to do that. You couldn't just do it. Right. Now, I was listening to one of Andre's songs the other day. Andre had his daddy needed a musician just like your dad and laid hands on Andre, touched his hands and anointed them with oil. I know the story. I knew his dad, preached for his dad, was at his dad's memorial or funeral. I know that whole story and his precious mother. Andre went to the piano and with not ever having lessons. He's one of the most prolific keyboardists I've ever encountered. He can play all kinds of stuff. And it's like blindfolded and walking backwards. It's an impartation that came to him. They're very gifted, and you are as well. So I'm happy to be in that energy and in your space. And I'm holding space for you continually that you'll be successful in all that you do, and that you'll focus the right areas and feature the right areas in your life. I know you will. We'll have him again, and we'll hear some more of his music. If you want to get more of it, it's michaelfieldsjr.com.
I threw it up in the comment section.
Okay, it's up in the comment section, and so you can
section. I also have a Pandora station. I mean, you can find me on Spotify everywhere. Just same thing.
He has a Pandora station. Mike Fields.
Mike Fields Jr.
Mike Fields Jr. Junior, get in here. So Mike Fields Jr. That's good. For his Pandora station. I'm gonna get that. Anybody can download that, and you can listen to all his stuff. You have the album and other things?
All my albums on there. My new one. I have a current one that just released. I do this love series called Love on the Bottom.
More recent than the one you just played?
Yes, sir.
How'd you get that out there quick, boy?
I try to drop one every year. So.
Wow. So you have several?
Yes, sir. I do.
When would you want to tell? See, he didn't tell me that. He's. I guess he's just humble. He's never told me who he is. He never told me all he did. I call second. His name is Walter. Just introduced me to him, and he didn't say anything about himself. I go in the studio. He's in there running the whole thing by himself. That whole studio, fixing stuff and recording, and he's got all this stuff in him. I don't know if Tulsa knows as much. We're not gonna don't try to leave us. We ain't gonna let you go. They're gonna pull him out of here. Somebody's gonna try to get him. But as long as we have him, we're gonna enjoy him. Yes, but I'm gonna go tonight and just find more of his stuff because it's really good contemporary. Various styles are there, and it's just very soothing music. You're very gifted. I know your parents are proud of you. Tell them I said keep on keeping on.
Yes, sir. Will do.
And your sister too.
Yes, sir.
She older than you?
She is. She's 44.
44.
44. Yes, sir.
Well, she could be my niece. Since I'm gonna be 66 this month.
Oh man.
So y'all young enough for me to tell you to take my trash out. I said, boy, take that trash out.
Yes,
go out
sir.
there and mow the lawn.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much, buddy, for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Those of you who listened, what else do we have, Jason? We there's no way I would have played a little if I'd have brought my CD in. We could have played a little bit of my little song on there, a little gospel song that I think you would enjoy. I want to close with a little bit of what I shared Sunday at All Souls, titled "Let Go and Let God." The theme of the month at All Souls is letting go, and I was thinking about that tonight in reference to. Thanks again, Mike. We appreciate you, buddy. In reference to the things that are happening that we need to relinquish or release, or it'll eat us alive. The tension, the stress, the anxieties, the problems, and we all have them. Human nature tends to have a hang-on or hold-on mentality as if something is always being subtly or forcibly taken from us. We hear this. We spend most of our waking moments acting out the innate human instinct of survivalism. You realize how much you're always holding on. It's unpopular to let go. It's a sign of weakness. So even though there are some things you really need to let go, you need to release. But we often don't do that. We're taught to hold on. It's that survival instinct, because the opposite of survivalism is innate victimization of the soul or of the self. Perhaps the species as well, that if the species doesn't hold on to whatever, it's going to be victimized by whatever. So this constant conflict going on, and I know you experience it. I'm learning after all these years to release and relinquish, to let go and let God, or let my own divine self navigate and negotiate for me, as me, through me, to me, in me. That's a discipline. It comes natural, but you've got to recognize it. The ultimate victimization, of course, would be death or cessation of human life, earthly existence. We're all afraid that something might stop. Our health, our sight, our hearing, our hair. Sometimes my mother says, and it's true, I got less hair to comb and more face to wash, because that forehead just getting wider and wider. Hair changes, colors gets thin. Sometimes you comb your hair and there's more on the counter than there's on your head. And you start thinking, what does that mean? Everything shifts, everything evolves. Some things dissolve, some things revolve. It goes away and comes back around. Life can be that way. Ram Dass, an American spiritual teacher, former academic, and clinical psychologist, wrote this, and I love it. In our Western culture, although death has come out of the closet, it is still not openly experienced or discussed. Allowing dying to be so intensely present enriches both the preciousness of each moment and our detachment from it. How can you recognize the present, be in the present, experience and express the present, and then have a certain amount of detachment from it, disconnect to it, not so aligned to it that it becomes bondage to you? Everybody's going through something presently. Some trauma, some drama, some tension, some anxiety, some stress, in the body, in the mind, in the family, in the marriage, in the finances, politically, culturally, spiritually, psychologically. We're always going through stuff. You heard me say life is a sexually transmitted disease or dis-ease. There's a tension and an anxiety just being born. So how do we hang on to the validity of our existence and detach ourselves from that which is no longer valid to us or no longer helpful, that no longer serves our ultimate interest as human beings. I learned to let go by giving up my attempt to control the narrative of not just my narrative, but the narrative as others perceive it. We're not always trying to change our story, but we're trying to control other people's understanding of our story. And that's where the anxiety comes in, not with your own story. You know, the events that connect and account for the occurrences in our lives, you cannot control what other people or how other people perceive you or receive you. We have a great concern about that. It's a subtle, innate, habitual concern about how other people perceive and or receive us, because we think they'll receive us based on how they perceive us. And as crazy as it seems, we innately want to be received by proper perception. We don't want to be misread or misled by any emotion or any devotion or any commotion, beginning with our parents, our siblings, our friends, and or our enemies. When do you let go and how? The word narrate really is derived from a word that means knowing or skilled. Who is the narrator? What is the narration, or what is the narrative of your life? What is the story? What is your story? What is your tale? Tale. Or sometimes you concerned about how people read your tale, Dail. What you got going on? See, people struggle with all that. What they think about you. Letting go employs and implores the discipline of detachment, disconnecting. Either you detach yourself from a thing or some things or sometimes everything. When you just, it's like going to sleep and you just let everything go. The ultimate nirvana, you know, that's the final goal of Buddhism. It's a transcendent state in which there is neither suffering, desire, nor sense of self. And the subject or person or soul is released from the effects of karma, that which comes around, the cycle of death or rebirth. I don't know how to, you know, the scripture says, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. That's always been an enigma to me. How can you not want or not? It actually means the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not lack, or I shall not be denied. I shall not be forfeited or forfeit. I will have my share. I will be my share. I will do my share. The Lord is my shepherd, the herder of the sheep or the lamb that I am. I was confused by this whole idea of not wanting, because I've always wanted. But nirvana means you get to the place where you no longer have desire. Pretty interesting. I'm not even positive that's achievable, but it's a nice goal, because even the desire to get to the place where you don't desire is a desire. But it's a concept that helps you slowly relinquish, slowly release, slowly reallocate, slowly reconfigure, shift things around so that you're not encumbered by obstacles and that are out of place. It's okay to have an obstacle that's designed for your journey to help you learn and stretch rather than stress. But when there are obstacles that don't belong there, that we have created by forfeiture or by default, that's where you want to be careful. Things happen automatically, and we are creative, and are literally creating our reality now. We do that anyway. I just try to encourage people to do it awareingly, or to be aware that you're doing it, and to do it intentionally. You can intentionally create certain things you want to be realized and manifested in your life. It's taken me all these years to get to the place where I'm even aware of that. Though we are always striving to create a reality that we want, to achieve something, whether that's a relationship or a college degree or starting a business or putting on a program or an event or owning a home or buying a car or producing children, raising children, realizing your dream. That's natural. It's innate. It's nature and nurture. We do that automatically. But I'm into consciousness, awareness. All I'm just saying is be aware of what you're doing. Be aware that you're doing. Be aware of why you're doing. Sometimes I text my friends in jazz and I say, how you doing? What you doing? Why you doing it? And who you doing it with? Doing. How you doing? How are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And with whom are you doing it? Who are you surrounding with? Are they with you or for you and not with you and with you not for you or both? All those things are interesting awarenesses, and sometimes it necessitates creation. We humans naturally and habitually tend to fight to avoid being victimized or vandalized in life or by it. We don't want our life vandalized. We don't want our life victimized. That's where the idea of letting go or releasing or relinquishing basically seems foreign. It's a kind of malady. It seems like a weakness or a liability. However, in reality, and I've learned that letting go can be the most powerful asset of your soul. Letting go, releasing. Letting go can lead to an expanded self, releasing you to your most liberated and engaged, positive, personal existence. Letting go can sometimes mean letting the universe, and that would be God, artfully and graciously bridge your humanity to your divinity in the most subtle and sublime way. That's one of the great goals, is to bridge your divinity to your humanity. Your divinity is what you know. Your humanity is what you believe, or taught or told. The human side of you is influenced by human things or humans. As you grow older, you start distinguishing between what your soul or cells, what your self really knows, and what your psyche believes, your mind. There's a little conflict there, sometimes a huge conflict. You sort through it, but let what you know win. It ultimately will anyway. So yield to what you know, even though sometimes you believe something differently. Like, for instance, if I say you're okay, but you don't believe it. You know you're secure, but you don't believe it. You know everything's going to be all right, ultimately, but you don't believe that. You know that you're stable and that you are substantial, that you have money. Let me just close with reading this wonderful statement from Marianne Williams, who, by the way, is running for president. I've met her, and I think she's a brilliant, brilliant lady. I was with her at the 20th anniversary with Neil Donald Walsh, my friend, who wrote the book Conversations with God. The 20th anniversary of that was held at this fabulous home in the LA area, and I went. And it was just a very profound experience. But here's what Marianne Williams wrote, and Nelson Mandela, the late, great Nelson Mandela, included it in his inaugural speech as president of South Africa. Our deepest fear, and I close with this, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, she writes, who are you not to be that? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And I say that is as us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone, all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Your presence, fearless presence, automatically liberates those around you. I know this. I'm not just speculating. I know you're amazing. I don't just believe you are. I know you are. I know you are divine. You're magnificent. You're elegant and eloquent and excellent. You're excelling. You're moving forward. I'm just here to encourage you to keep it up. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. I'm reminding of something you know and may have forgotten. You're good. You're, in effect, God with a little g. You're deity and you're divine. I love you. God bless you. God be you. Carlton Pearson, you've been watching Come Monday. Come Sunday is the movie. It's on Netflix. You can watch it anytime, 24/7. Come Monday is the movement away from traditional models and modalities into a broad, new, expanded, and extended way of being, seeing, living, and giving. I love you. Peace. See you next time. Good night.